Hello and welcome to Clockwork Noodles, the channel where we talk about manga, anime, we talk about anything which is noodle related, cosplay, the works. This is just the place where things go crazy. Hello and welcome back. Before we get into today's video, let's just mention that winter 2021, the video has now been released. You guys can go over and see what it is I am reviewing next season. What anime am I going to be breaking down? And also, what are my top 3 anime of fall 2020? So who is now wearing a crown as my labelled best anime, even though recent episodes this week have thrown that into a bit of disarray. I still think the top 3 I chose are good, so I don't completely hate my choices. Right guys, also as well, there is a Discord channel for you guys to hang out on. You can get a notification whenever a video goes up online, so you can never miss anything. It's also a place I plan to expand on when we get bigger as a channel. Right, this week's episode 11 of Noblesse, is Lord and Lost Child. We opened us really quickly on a past Raizels seeing Raizels summoned once more by the Lord, and that is really it. So our open isn't really much to talk about. We do this week get to see my girl Sierra in the black and gold, the proper noble outfit. I said last week I prefer her in those colours because it doesn't clash as much with her hair. I love seeing her in that outfit. I think it looks absolutely brilliant. She is brought to Raizels, who I'm sorry guys, everyone's gonna hate on me, but I don't like her. I'm sorry, I really don't like her. Sierra asks about Gajutal, who is in jail for submitting a false report, and she then too refuses to give an answer, which ends up angering Raizels to go and read her heart, I believe, which I guess is the equivalent of a lie detector, a truth detector. She's able to see if Sierra is lying to her. Sierra does try to put up a bit of a resistance, and she seems to be kind of persevering, but she looks like she's in pain. It looks painful. We do see Rio trying to redeem himself, even though I don't like you either. So you're not in the good books, and as much as I think he might lead to try helping Sierra, I don't like him. He tries to kind of go forward and defend Sierra, where he says, no, we didn't meet any nobles, we met a modified human and a blonde guy, which is the problem, because that blonde guy who is stronger than you, everybody else knows, especially because I think they're older than him, they know it's Franken. That indirectly confirms Franken works for Raizels. Franken is part of Raizels' guard, so that indirectly threw Sierra into the shit. Sierra ends up collapsing and gets sent to jail for disobeying her lord, where we meet another guy called Cryas, I believe, who is kind of cool. I kind of like him, who actually reluctantly obeys. He looks kind of uncomfortable with the order that she gives him. And that's when we see the private jet 101 at Raizels. Hell yeah, the party plane. Franken, Regis, and Raizels are all heading to Lukedonia. And I love the fact that Regis is actually concerned about the bodyguards. So I'm calling them Team Security Guard, even though the team has literally given themselves a name this week, which is quite cool. I love how he's concerned that the Union might make a move whilst they're away. I like the fact that Franken has gone and taken some measures where he's left every single one of them a drug that will boost their powers to make them more powerful. And the drug is T2. The plane kind of shudders as we enter Lukedonia airspace, which is kind of cool. I like the fact that they've actually got an airspace. So there's no landing space. So they're going to literally be dropping in. And then we cut back to the nobles this week discussing that the fact there is 2 clan leaders now in prison. And the fact that these guys are on traitors. They have gone to the enemy's side for concealing the truth. Cryas trying to defend Sierra. So this week we do get to see the nobles' kind of thoughts. We get to see that they're not all on the same page. It's Cryas we do get to see who it doesn't sit well with him, as much as he probably would still do the thing where he would obey his lord, but even though you obey her doesn't mean you have to agree. So it's quite nice to see that they've all kind of got their own opinions on what's going on. Rajak ends up returning, and basically Gajutal has said nothing more, where everybody is interrupted and informed that an aircraft from the human world has crash landed off the coast, but there's been no bodies so far found, where we are introduced to the Central Order of Knights. And these guys, they patrol the Forbidden Realm, which we learn is actually where Raizels' mansion is. So the Forbidden Realm, where none of the nobles are allowed to go, is where Raizels lives, which is quite nice. So it was forbidden originally by the previous lord, which makes me wonder if Raizels can probably overthrow the previous lord's commands. Because we also know that the other nobles were kind of forbidden to go near Raizels, because I think even Regis said that we're not allowed to go near him. We weren't permitted to go near him. It's the way that when they get home, they even say something is off. The air feels funny. So they leave Raizels in the hallway to go and investigate, where we see Raziel using his powers to open a really ornate door. And it seems our Lord has left, well, the previous Lord has left us a present. He's left his soul weapon, Ragnarok, which is symbolizing of the end of the world. Or if you're a Thor fan, anyway, you know that. It's just the way that Raizels, like, he's left behind something really troublesome. Should that weapon not have gone to Raskria? So obviously this week we kind of get a little bit of information into why Raskria isn't a Raizels fan, but it doesn't kind of tell us about anything more about what actually happened. So we've still got the big looming question, what actually happened between Raizels and the Lord? Because every time we see the two, especially in this episode, they seem to be getting closer and closer. And there's a bit where Raizels just admits, he kind of agrees that the Lord and him are like family. He just agrees, and it's quite nice to see a little bit of a character development there. So we get some answers. We have still got one episode left, so I suspect we'll get the final answers next week. We end up seeing Regis going COVID ready, guys. This boy knows what's up. He puts on a mask, even though did it really hide his ID that well? Because you can still see the badger stripes. He ends up wiping out some of the knights, but they end up getting more and more where his mask ends up falling off anyway, and then they suddenly like, oh my god, it's Regis. And it's like, oh, you could see it was him, guys. It wasn't the best disguise in the world. Regis is about to be captured, but gunfire stops him. And that is when, this is my favourite part of the episode, guys. This is my favourite bit. I actually love this section where the gunfire disrupts him from being captured, and we hear a voice introducing the group, or these unknown assailants, as RK4. And they are the RK4 Knights. I actually really love it. It's my babies. These are my babies. And Takeo in the tree with the gun. That just looks so sexy. I told you guys before, that gun is sexy. I want that gun. Takeo also looks like Gakpo from Vocaloid. So he is too. By nature, he is sexy. And it is Tao who is giving everybody like the nicknames where he says, I am number one. And the fact that they've included Regis, and Regis is number 3. I love it. That's my favourite scene from this episode. Like, I don't have many notes. I've come from some really heavy episodes. If you are following most of my releases, the 2 episodes that went up Monday and Sunday, they were heavy, and I struggled. Even yesterday's as well was very heavy to report on. It seems like episode 11 in anime always seems troublesome. This one isn't troublesome. I actually have 3 pages of notes, so I can go through it at a nice pace. But this was my favourite scene. I absolutely adored the introduction of RK4. Just seeing that they have included Regis as well, even though we know that Silver is on the team and that Silver and Regis like arguing. I like it. I'm so happy. They're my babies. I love them. We found out that RK4 was stowed away on the plane, and we even see them literally pissing themselves in the middle of a heart attack when the plane starts to go down. But they say, we got paid, so we can now do our jobs. And Raizels was cool with it. Raizels was like, yeah, it's fine. We've got plenty of unused rooms. You've got a mansion to yourself. There's plenty of places to stock everybody. Gajuto and Sierra are now in danger, and he says it's because they protected me. Me and Franklin are targets by the Noblesse because we are suspected for causing the previous Lord's death. However, nobody actually kind of disputes it, which is concerning, where Regis even goes, did you commit treason? Because obviously any crime against a ruling monarch is treason. So I'm in the UK, we have a monarch. Anybody who does anything against her is definitely going to be charged with treason. They don't answer, which really doesn't bode well. I want to know what happened, and I think next week's the week. We learned that Noblesse actually refers to a single being, and that being is Raizels. Hiro Kantari has kind of spoiled this. I'm not going to spoil it because I know that some of you are actually, like me, or anime onlys. But just for the people who are watching who are manhwa readers, Hiro Kantari has a section where it labels the powers for each of the players. And obviously Raizels has a section, and there's a 3-letter word written by his name, okay? So I'll let you guys figure out what that 3-letter word is. The Noblesse, aka Raizels, apparently is hated because he killed the king, but he does not object. He doesn't say, yeah, no, I didn't do it or anything. And he even goes as far as to tell Regis that you'll be assisting a criminal. I still have my doubts that he did, but I bet if anything, it's going to be a misunderstanding or there's going to be a complete reason what happened. I'm not immediately jumping on the Raizels as a murderer boat just yet. RK4 are actually Raizels knights. I really love that so much. It reminds me of Dumbledore's army a little bit. That obviously Dumbledore's army was created by the students without Dumbledore knowing. Raizels RK4 was created by these guys without Raizels knowing, and I love it. I think the best bit of this episode is I get to see my girl in black and gold, absolutely stunning on her, and I also get to see RK4. I think that's my favourite. Regis says, I trust my grandfather, so I will protect Raizels. And then we get a nice flashback to the old lord telling Raizels that he has changed because he has met Franken, that you have a family now. And I like the fact there is a visual of a pole separating the two to show us that even though they seem to be making progress, they are meeting more and more. Raizels is unwillingly going to go and actually spend time with Daddy-O. There is this pole in a way, and it's visually showing us that something is in the way, something is separating the two from being connected. We're going to learn a bit more about the Lord and his actual relationship with his own daughter, that he doesn't end up spending any time with her because he simply is too busy with royal duties. But even Raid says, why don't you just make time? I mean, you are technically the Lord, so you should be able to make some time for her. He kind of just brushes it away. And then he says something along the lines of that me and you are kind of like family too. And Raizels makes a bit of this is his character development here, where he realizes that yes, we are actually like family, and he admits it. It's a very, very quick scene, but it's still development no more, because obviously up to this point we've seen him brushing every attempt the Lord made to Ray, and now he is. So it's quite nice that he's doing that. He does also give us a bit of information that the Noblesse it carries like I guess it's a mantra or a notion that the Noblesse is supposed to live a lonely life, but it's nice to see that the Lord's saying, well, don't let that go to waste. We don't have to kind of adhere to it, which is really nice. The Lord then asks Raizels, are you interested in becoming the Lord? Which is so annoying, because I actually think this giant misunderstanding, what it's probably going to turn out to be, has come from this. We go straight back to Raizels discussing the fact that he's going to go to something called the Sanctuary, which is located within Lodonia, is in the enemy territory. He needs to talk to Razgria, which is true. I believe the two need to sit down and actually talk before we kill people, and poor Gajutal this episode. Gajutal really had grown on me, so I am quite sad to see her decision to essentially kill him. Razgria is informed that RK4 is there, and also this confirms Regis's betrayal. He also is reported to have attacked the Central Knights, proving that he is siding with essentially Raizels, the enemy. And she says that the blonde man he met in Japan is likely to be the servant of Raizels. That's where she makes that initial connection. I'm pretty sure she knew Franken, or she might have been a little bit young perhaps, but at the point she definitely saw Franken at some point. She confirms that the Forbidden Region is where Raizels' manor is, and they end up withdrawing the Knights because she seems to admit that the Knights can't handle Raizels. It's definitely beyond them. Regis's betrayal ends up proving that Gajutal too betrayed the Lord. Therefore, he must be punished to eternal sleep, which we've already learned is very similar to just death. It's just they go to sleep and they just don't wake up. Again, it's where we get to see the differing thoughts amongst the nobles, so they're not just a single body who agree and think the same. Gajutal raised all the other clan leaders. I think he is pretty much older than everybody, where we learn that there's actually a bit of discontent with the idea that she wants to put him to eternal sleep. So a lot of them end up siding, saying that they do not want to see Gajutal killed. It's just, they even say he won't act without a reason. There has to be a reason for what's going on. He doesn't act without thinking. Razgria ends up going to see Gajutal. But before she gets there, we get another little flashback, seeing Gajutal also teaching Razgria. So he really is the senpai of the entire Lodonia, because at this point he must be one of the oldest members left, because I think recently we were told that a lot of the clan members were younger nobles. We also get to see that he acted as a liaison between her and her father, so he was so busy that she would pass messages between her and him with Gajutal. we do see that she's really downtrodden to learn once again that Raizal has once again been summoned by the Lord. It's jealousy. She also says that she feels lonely because she's dedicating herself to her work to support her father. Obviously, Raizal's being summoned to go see the Lord, but she isn't, and we know that the Lord isn't making any time to see her, which is sad. It is sad, but at the same time, I still don't like her. It gives us a look to why she's acting the way she is, and she passes on a message to him just to say, look after yourself. And then this is when it kind of goes a little bit wrong, and I think this is where mistrust on Gajutal is placed, because I think he lies. The Lord apparently passes a message back praising her. I mean, this could be true, but it's just the way it's portrayed that actually Gajutal may have made it up. She goes, I want to see him. Where was he last seen? And he's in the courtyard. It's very, very bad timing because she walks in at the same time the offer of a lord to Raizal is made. This hurts her. This physically hurts her because obviously all of her hard work has now been ignored. She has spent her entire life preparing herself to become the Lord. She's now seeing that her father is giving it away and essentially offering it to Raizal instead. And this also places mistrust on Gajutal. And I think there's a bit before where she says trusting people puts us in danger. It allows us to get hurt, because this is the point where she tried to trust Gajutal, even said, would I lie to you? And I think she believes, at least it's important to know that she believes he lied to her. And she didn't listen to the response. I think this is her big mistake. She walks off and goes to cry, but she doesn't listen to the response that Raizal gives. Because I bet you that Raizal turned down the offer of being a lord. I bet he has absolutely zero interest in being the lord, because he kind of enjoys his solitude in the sense that didn't really object to being out in the middle of nowhere. And he didn't really have any interest in being in Lukedonia. So initially he would only go like once every 5 years or so. The knowledge that he is starting to blend into his modern life at the school with his friends, I can definitely tell you that I don't think he would have accepted the role of the Lord. I don't think it's any interest to him. I don't think he's got that interest. Raskria's, her anger towards Raizal would have come from this, because she will despise Raizal for being the favourite. She will see her father as favouring him, and that, even though it's not Raizal's fault that that's the case, she will have this within her that she will be angry and hold some hatred towards him just because he's obviously got the role that she wants. Raskria meets Gajutal, and this scene really makes me dislike her. But again, obviously she's trying to protect herself, but she's acting really, really childish, so she's jumping around a lot without actually listening, so she doesn't bother to listen to him. And she informs him Raizal has arrived with his entourage and your betrayal has now been confirmed. And she doesn't bother to listen to anything he says, which is just at least bad. You can at least give him the decency to listen to what he says. And then she does the one thing where I hate it when people do this. It's either me or him. It's that ultimatum. It's pitting one against the other. There's no middle ground. You have to choose him or me. I don't want to listen to it. You have to tell me the truth. And if you tell me the truth, I'll spare your life. Which makes her sound so favourable, but it's not. Gajutal admits his betrayal. He says, yes, I met Raizal. I'm not telling you because I fear you. I'm telling you because you need to punish me as I have committed a crime. He admits to his crime. And I think it's more the fact that he does not regret his choice to cover up for Raizal. Gajutal is stripped of title of the clan leader, whereas sadly he is forced to go to his eternal sleep, aka death. And I hardly think Regis will be taking up the mantle of clan leader anytime soon, because he too is now a traitor. She informs them that Raizal is indeed the intruder, and she says, I want them to bend the knee. She goes all Daenerys on everybody's butt, and she goes, I will make them all kneel before me, including Regis. We just get to see how much she truly hates Raizal. We do get a little interesting point where we see Riel eavesdropping on the announcement. Is he going to try saving Sierra? Which is interesting. I don't like you. It's not going to make me like you anymore. But it's just going to be interesting to see if he will try to do something. That then cuts to Cryas, and I think it's Rayjack at this point. We can actually see that Cryas, again, is uncomfortable with the decision that has been made, but it's Rayjack who goes, the one thing we have to do is obey our Lord without question. So he obeys the Lord without question, but Cryas is the one who's kind of worried. He's like, Lukedonia is going to go into chaos now. And then that cuts to our end credits. Our last sequence is, I think they put it in just because they know how much I love her. It's my girl. My girl overhears Gajutal's sentence to forced eternal sleep. The verdict has been given. And she breaks out. Oh, my darling. I just love Sierra, guys. Sierra is just, I love her. Love her to bits. She breaks out looking absolutely awesome. The final screenshot of her face. Love it. Thank you to Noblesse for putting that in. That's like fan service to me. That is our episode, and I'm also thankful for Noblesse for giving me a break in having my heart wrecked to pieces. I've had 3 episodes this week already, which have had me crying, have had me kind of making really hard videos, having to go through a lot. This one's quite nice to get through, and we've had some really nice moments, so it's a nice welcome break, but it does make me think that episode 12 is where it's all going to go down. We've got 1 episode left. I really hope... I don't want us to end on a cliffhanger. My biggest worry with things like this is cliffhangers, especially when I don't think Noblesse is going to get greenlit. None of the adaptations so far have had greenlits on second seasons. I would kill to have a Tower of God season 2. I don't think I'm going to get it. I just don't think any of the adaptations have gone down... They've gone down half and half. They're very 50-50. They've been hit and miss. So I don't think any of them are getting second seasons. So I just don't want us ending on a cliffhanger. At least leave us off in a really good place. Leave us off with maybe Raz actually talking some sense into Razgria. Or at least giving us some information on what happened. So is Raz a murderer? Did he actually lead to the death of the Lord? Because... half of me doesn't think he did, but again, I could be horrendously wrong because he didn't actually, he didn't try and defend himself, and he even carries across and says, you know, you'll be assisting a criminal. He continues to use the word, so he's definitely done something. So it's going to be very interesting to see if that is addressed. I'm really looking forward to next week mainly because I think all of the answers are going to come to a head. We're going to finally, hopefully see everybody kind of clashing. The fact that my girl has broken out as well, I love that so badly. So definitely going to see more of Sierra next week, which is nice. And also I do like the fact that we're starting to see the nobles are individuals. They all think differently. So some of them were uncomfortable hearing that Gajutal was going to be forced to death, essentially. Some of them were fine with just obeying the Lord. We are getting to see a lot more of the fact that they do share different ideas. They do think for themselves. It's quite nice. Rosaria, I think that's her name, the redhead noble. I told you guys last week that I actually pulled her from Hero Kantari, and I saw her last week and I was like, she's one to keep an eye on. I'm still keeping an eye on her just because obviously I pulled her out and I've seen her weapon, so I'm like keeping an eye on you. So as much as I still am just a anime only, I've just got a little bit of insight into just a few of the characters. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I think it's been a really fun episode. We've addressed a lot more of these issues, like we also get to see a bit of character development for Ray and the fact that he actually ended up going to spend more and more time, so he would answer summons to the Lord. So we see that, especially in maybe, I'm presuming the end days, I guess after this, I think it was the end for him. I think we'll definitely see his demise next week. I think his demise comes quite shortly after the initial shock that Razgria gets when the position of Lord is offered. So it's quite nice to see that addressed and also see that he starts to warm up to the Lord, which is quite nice because I think last week I even said it seems like he's really making an attempt to get on with him, but Raizels wasn't really reciprocating. So it's nice to see him breaking down those boundaries of being just a person who's only used to being on their own. We've had some really nice information. I feel like the world's starting to make a lot more sense to me. Things are making a bit more sense. Seeing the soul weapon as well does give me a few questions that shouldn't that weapon be in Razgria's hand? It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to appear with the weapon and she's going to see that the soul weapon is in his hands. So that'll be interesting. Also, it makes me wonder if Razgria doesn't have a soul weapon, let's say it is actually in his hands, what's she using? She's clearly got powers, but is she going to have a soul weapon? Does the Lord have their own set of powers? That's going to be cool. We're going to see that next week. Lots and lots of good questions starting to arise. A few questions have now been answered, but I've got a few more that I think will be addressed next episode. I'm really looking forward to next episode. I'm also very happy that you guys are definitely being nice to me. I think you're definitely very accepting that I'm a complete newbie. I make mistakes. So I thank you guys. So obviously I break down multiple animes and I release videos weekly, I feel like the communities for each of them are all different. You guys are actually quite nice. I get picked apart in some of my videos for making tiny mistakes. You guys are actually quite understanding and quite nice to me, so I thank you for that. And also, I thank you for bearing with me as I stumble through trying to put things together. So thank you guys so much for being so understanding. I hope you guys are staying safe. Be like Regis this week. Don that mask, stay safe, and be healthy. So I will see you guys again next week for the final episode of Noblesse Season 1. And I will give you my final thoughts next week as well. My final score, my final overall thoughts on the season as a whole. Hopefully we're in for one hell of a treat with the final episode being the way it is set up. I'll see you guys again soon. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.